Welcome to the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast. I'm your host, Asif Badi. And this morning, today, it started off with pretty good news regarding some of the, coaching moves going on in the NFL. We already mentioned before in a previous episode, Brian Johnson is being interviewed for head coaching positions in Carolina in particular. We have no idea why. I got no idea why. When I say we, I mean everybody in Philadelphia Eagles Nation and most of the media has no idea why. But a sucker is born every minute, and we hope Carolina takes Brian Johnson away from us, and we hope the best success for Brian Johnson in all seriousness. But I digress. This episode, guys, is about if Nick Sirianni is fired after a Monday night debacle. And again, I think it has to be a debacle on Monday night against Tampa Bay where you get our asses kicked. Only then will Nick Sirianni be out the door, because we heard reports, we heard news, we heard all the rumors about Nick Sirianni being canned as a big possibility in the city of brotherly love right now, because that is what's in the works. So, and I would sit there, and before all the news happened with Mike Vrabel being let go and Pete Carrol stepping down from his head coaching position and going up into the booth, into the general manager advisory role for Seattle Seahawks, I was sitting there and I was wondering, damn, what coaching option are going to be out there that's going to fit Philadelphia and what they want to do? And fans are just throwing out random names. Like, I know Ben Johnson is being called for. Eric Bieniemy is being thrown out there. They're calling anybody's name outside of Nick Sirianni at the moment. I don't blame them. However, in an episode previous, I said the only way you would let go of a guy like Nick Sirianni is if a guy like a Jim Harbaugh becomes available, and then Philadelphia is not going to pick up Jim Harbaugh. But let's figure out who's going to be the best fit for Philadelphia if they eventually decide to let go of Nick Sirianni, because that's mostly what most of Philadelphia wants. I'm on the camp of defending Nick Sirianni. I really do think the coordinators have not performed as well as they could have, and the players have, quite frankly, just not played as well as they did last year, right? Obviously, evidently so. Mainly the quarterback, but I digress. Let's assume Nick Sirianni's gone. We're looking for a head coach. Who is the guy we want in the building to bring life, to bring energy, and to change the culture in Philadelphia? The culture that was fine last season, but the one that's a little bit, chaotic and lackluster now, according to players like Javon Hargrave and other players like that. Again, I digress. Let's start off with Mike Vrabel, okay? We'll start off with him, and we'll go down some of the names that we know are available at the moment. Mike Vrabel, former Tennessee Titans head coach, also worked as linebacker coach for the Houston Texans in the NFL, and mainly was a player for the New England Patriots as a linebacker for that dynastic run. When he was with Houston, he was the linebackers coach in 2014, and when he was there, he spent, I believe, 2 or 3 seasons? He was there, 2 or 3 seasons in Houston. They were ranked 3rd in yards allowed. That seems pretty damn good, considering that our defense just can't stop a parked car. You know what I'm saying? Whatever the offense wants to do, it could do against our defense. And with Vrabel back there as a linebackers coach, Houston's defense, again, led by J.J. Watt, Jadeveon Clowney, Whitmer, all those, really, really good players over there. But still, being ranked 3rd in the NFL is very, very impressive. He ended up parlaying that into a head coaching job with the Tennessee Titans, who, when they hired him, were not in a good place. They were ranked 13th overall in defense, and when he got there, he brought them up to 8th. So he raised them up to a top 10 defense. So everywhere he goes, the Tennessee Titans defense is going to be, or any defense that he's a part of, is going to be stout. It's going to be ready to play. It's going to be tough. And that's mainly what Philadelphia is looking for in terms of a head coach. They want toughness. They want the rough ruggedness. They want hard-working guy, blue collar, that typical type of coach they want in Philadelphia at the moment, because that seems to fit mostly what the identity is of the team and of the city. And if we bring that level of toughness and that level of grit and that level of, moxie, and that we're going to punch you in the mouth, we don't give a shit what you do, we're going to line up and just kick your ass, That type of mentality is something that really, really vibes in Philadelphia. And it's something that we as a fan base are really looking for with our team right now, especially on the defensive side of the ball. And it would translate to the offensive side of things, because then that would most likely mean we'd have to run the ball, rely on our offensive line, all the things that we want the team currently to do right now that we are not. So, again, Mike Vrabel, his head coaching record, I believe it's 54-45 in the regular season. He's also 2-3 in the postseason, made it to a conference championship game, lost to Kansas City, who won the Super Bowl that year against the San Francisco 49ers. All that good stuff, and went on a really great run. He beat the Patriots. Then he went to Baltimore, beat the number 1 seeded Baltimore, and then lost a close game to the Kansas City Chiefs. So if Mike Vrabel comes to town, that would be a really, really nice fit. I don't know if he's exactly what we're looking for, because most likely I think we would want a coach to help with play calling, unless he's exceptional as a culture changer. And Mike Vrabel, whatever you want to say about him, he's definitely a culture changer. That's for damn sure. So he's definitely an interesting candidate in my opinion. But I feel like there are better options who can come in here and really provide more of a spark. Not that Mike Vrabel wouldn't. Which leads me to a guy like Pete Carrol, who also just got let go as head coach for the Seattle Seahawks. And his resume, it speaks for itself. Super Bowl champion. In his time with the Seahawks, he's 137-89. He's 10-9 in the postseason with the Super Bowl championship, led the Legion of Boom, kicked the Broncos' ass in that Super Bowl. And, everybody knows what type of, moxie and what type of swagger Pete Carrol brings into the building. He brings in energy, he brings positivity, and the players will play and die for the guy. They will go out and play their asses off for him. Something that a lot of Eagle fans and a lot of pundits out there are saying right now this team is not doing with the current regime and Nick Sirianni and, Brian Johnson and Matt Patricia and these guys. So, yes, that would be a very welcome sight. And another thing that Pete Carrol also brings is the level of toughness that we feel this team is lacking at the moment. A defensive-minded coach, he would help solidify the defense, help solidify the defensive backs, making sure they play up to snuff, because, quite frankly, the defensive backs we have right now, while I believe are talented and I believe are good enough, they're not playing really good football at the moment outside of Darius Slay. And Reed Blankenship is playing okay, but you get my point. We've let anybody do anything to us in the passing game on defense, and it's really, really frustrating to watch. It's kind of pathetic to watch, in all honesty, lining up 10 yards off the fucking line of scrimmage when they need 8 yards for a fucking first down. We just let it happen every goddamn play, every damn third down, 3rd and long, 3rd and 20, 3rd and 2, it doesn't matter. The other team's going to get the fucking first down and keep the defense on the field. It's really, really ridiculous to watch. The scheme's terrible, but Pete Carrol, if he comes in here, would fix all of that. He would immediately fix that and make these guys play a little bit more aggressively at the line of scrimmage. He would make this defense come in and really toughen their shit up. And not only that, he would potentially bring maybe other veterans, like a guy like Bobby Wagner, hopefully, if he decides to, if Pete Carrol does become the head coach, maybe it would sway Bobby Wagner to come and play for a guy like Pete Carrol in the system that he knows, lead our defense, and have a presence in the middle of the field that we haven't had since Jeremiah Trier, or hell, even the players that we had last season with TJ Edwards and Kazir White. That's a whole nother discussion for another day. We'll save that for the offseason down the road. So, yes, and again, Pete Carrol won a Super Bowl championship. He's been to another one before, lost to the Patriots, again with the Russell Wilson, Malcolm Butler play, a sensational play. We know how that game ended up turning to. So he would be another great fit, and especially with a team like Philadelphia, a guy like Jalen Hurts, a coach, like a player who's similar in terms of mindset like Russell Wilson was early on in his career. Just comes in, goes to work, doesn't really say much, just kind of keeps it all bird, keeps it all football, and then you let the guys on defense kind of have a little bit more of the swagger. Let A.J. Brown be himself. Let Devonta Smith be the guys who are the vocal leaders on the offensive side of the ball. And, he would commit to running the football, which is something that we want in Philadelphia more than anything else. And again, I would love to have a guy like Pete Carrol on the coaching staff. He would be a welcome addition. And honestly, I probably would get rid of Nick Sirianni if Pete Carrol would be willing to come coach Philadelphia. I'm iffy on Mike Vrabel, but I understand the reason for the draw. I understand why people want Mike Vrabel to come in and replace Nick Sirianni. But really, the ideal candidate for me, and this to me is the best fit, if you can guarantee me this guy, it's one and only the greatest coach of all time, Bill Belichick. And I know what you're thinking. Of course, Bill Belichick would be a great fit in Philadelphia. But listen, a guy like Bill Belichick, arguably, if not the greatest coach of all time, 6-time Super Bowl champion. He's also, I don't know how many games the guy's won. He's won close to 300 games in his regular season career. Fantastic in the postseason. One of the greatest, if not the greatest, defensive mind we have, not only in today's game, but maybe all time in the NFL. The guy is a savant. And the Patriots, while they sucked this year, and they were god-awful, and they fucked up my parlay. I thought they would win 7 games because, hell, Bill Belichick teams usually win 7 to 8 games at minimum. I thought they could do it this year. Hence, they didn't. The one thing about the Patriots that was always consistent, that never wavered under his play calling, his scheme, and whatnot, their defense was always formidable. Never a time with Bill Belichick at the helm did you look at the defense and you say, wow, this is a pathetic defense. This defense cannot stop anybody. No, they can give up yardage at times. There are times where, they'll give up one thing, but they never let you score as many points as you would like to. I don't remember a time a Bill Belichick team got blown out. And I think the only time that did happen was the time where he says, we're on to Cincinnati. We're on to Cincinnati. We're on to Cincinnati. That might be the only time that I remember where I looked at that team and I was just like, wow, they got their teeth kicked in. But again, a guy like Bill Belichick, championship pedigree, immediately changes the culture. And if he agrees again, like I said with Jim Harbaugh, I said this in one of my previous episodes regarding potentially hiring Jim Harbaugh. If he will say, I don't need to be GM of this football team, I just want to come in and coach, get my 300 plus wins, and make a run at a title once again, Bill Belichick could step right in and immediately change the course of the franchise, immediately change the complexion of the Eagles and the NFC conference. It would be a perfect fit. A team that has an established quarterback. Say what you want about Jalen Hurts. He's one of the better quarterbacks in the NFC. Who's willing to be coached hard, can take criticism well, and is willing to do anything to win. He has dynamic playmakers on the outside, so he doesn't have to pick talent at the wide receiver position. You got Devontae. You got A.J. Brown. You got Dallas Goedert at tight end. You have a running game with the offensive line, and Bill Belichick likes to pound the rock. You got the offensive linemen that are already there. And with Jeff Stoutland, it's going to be a well-coached unit. They have enough youth on the offensive side of the ball where they're going to be around for a long time. And then on the defensive side of the ball, you have the defensive line. You got Haason Reddick and Josh Sweat. You got Carter. You have Jordan Davis, who's going to get coached up by Bill Belichick. And who knows what we do in terms of the veterans, but the defensive back groups with Reed Blankenship, Sidney Brown, Keely Ringo, Eli Ricks, all those guys are going to be there. Darius Slay is going to be there. Who knows? Maybe James Bradbury sticks with us because he doesn't have a lot of trade value. He's not going to be, cut by Philadelphia. He may be with us once again. He may be able to coach him up or bring out some of the good stuff with him on the defensive side of the ball. And again, like I said, immediately change the culture in Philadelphia. And similarly to what Belichick had in Tom Brady at the quarterback position, like I mentioned earlier, Jalen Hurts just being all football all the time, almost robotic. which could be a good and a bad thing. But right now, in this case with Bill Belichick, I think it would be a good thing if this were to happen. It would be a match made in heaven, and it would put us back in the right direction. And maybe it is a short-term deal with Bill Belichick. Of course it would be. But you know what? I'm in for it now. I want the trophy like ASAP. We only have a short window with this rendition of the Eagles. This year, it probably is not going to happen just because of the collapse that we had. But you know what? For the next year or two, we have a window where I think we could really make a run in the NFC, especially with a lot of the coaching changes that is going to happen in the NFC. So why not maximize it? And if Howie Roseman and Jeffery Laurie can get it done, who wouldn't sign up for Bill Belichick? And to me, that would be the best fit, the perfect fit, and most likely one of the only people that I would get rid of Nick Sirianni for. Other than that, I think you have to stay pat. Again, it's conditioned on what happens Monday night with Tampa Bay, because that's going to be a very important game where Nick Sirianni is coaching for his job. Like he said, it's very easy to lead when you're ahead, and the 6-game slide has not been good. The teams look pathetic. It's looked lethargic. Can they pull out a victory on Monday night? They're favored by 3. We just got to wait and see. I didn't mean for that to rhyme, but you get my point. With that, everybody, let me know in the comments below. Let me know what you think. Let me know who you believe would be the best coach in Philadelphia. What would be the right fix for what's going on in Philadelphia at the moment? Look at me. I'm hitting the freaking microphone as I'm talking my way out of the podcast here. On that note, please subscribe to the podcast. It'll help us push out more content like this to other Eagle fans out there. Another thing that you could do, check out the Instagram page at the Riding the Bench podcast with a K instead of C in the word podcast. And also, if you're listening to us on YouTube, check out audio platforms like Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. We are on there for your audio pleasure so that you can listen to it while driving to work in your car. On that note, everybody, I got nothing else to say. Please be safe out there. We will see you back here next time at the Riding the Bench Eagles podcast.